G'day Sheilas and blokes, my name is Jacob and today I would like to talk to you about the new Monster Hunter 6 reveal from the Game Awards 2023. This video is intended to concisely convey everything I wish to say about the topic in one place for my friends who have asked what I think of it. Before I continue further however, I'd like to share a brief introduction about myself for anyone who doesn't know me prior to clicking on the video. I have been a fan of the Monster Hunter series for 13 years. I've followed the games from Freedom Unite to Sunbreak, spin-offs and Japanese only releases included. I collect all kinds of merchandise from consoles, figures, plushies, mangas, soundtracks, etc. Monster Hunter is without question my favourite video game franchise of all time. Introductions over, I'll now start with my hopes for Monster Hunter Wilds and then get into my concerns. Please note, a lot of what I'll be saying is speculation from me and not facts. I am very excited for a new game in the series, I always am, and likely always will be. For obligatory raffles aside, the trailer showed off several cool new monsters. The highlight for me was the Hunter's Chocobo-inspired mount. This time around, the world looks to be even more lively than it's ever been. The little interaction of the monsters tripping over one another during the moments before the sandstorm looks really funny. I'm extremely excited to see more of these interactions as the game is further developed and more is shown. The mentioned sandstorm is a cool spectacle. I can imagine the weather is something that'll play a big part in hunts. I'm hoping there's a lot of monsters that will use this to their advantage. The new Elder Dragons might be themed around the weather in some way. If so, these fights would be incredible to see. Kushala is already well known by many new fans. I think now would be the best time to reintroduce the rusted Kushala with some epic new attacks using this mechanic. That brief bit of mounted traversal looks really promising. I especially want to see more of the maps and how well it'll integrate into them. Many people might be sad to see the Palamutes gone, but honestly I won't mind. And to be honest, I don't think the inclusion of this mount means the Palamutes are entirely excluded anyways. In the trailer, we never seen any of the Pelicos either. Most likely pets were excluded from the teaser. I reckon if you bring a cat, it'll ride on the Chocobo with you, and if you bring a dog, it'll run alongside you and collect items and herd monsters. We don't see much of the map except open-ended desert with lightning rods scattered throughout. I get the impression Wilds is open world, but then again I thought the same thing with Monster Hunter World, and until Capcom confirms or denies, it's all up to speculation. The weather once again shows its importance in the trailer when said lightning strikes hit the rods. I'm excited to see what else the maps have to offer and how the weather will play into it all. As unlikely as it is, I hope the maps also bring back underwater combat. I reckon on the better engine with proper controls, underwater can be made into something everyone will like the next time Capcom attempts it. I think especially after Rise took us to the highest mountain peaks, the best way to push boundaries in map design is to dive back into the ocean depths. If the maps are indeed open world, I'd love to see very large monsters roaming through it. I'm talking stuff like Shen Garon, Lao Shenlong, the Moran twins, etc. There is an incredible artist on Twitter/X called @Valky_Uniguri who makes incredible art depicting exactly what I want to see in Monster Hunter Wilds. I'll link them in the description, please give them a follow. We haven't seen anything hinting at the plot yet, but I think Monster Hunter Wilds might be able to do the best story in the series thus far. Wilds being a mainline title, it's being developed by the team that made Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, which currently has the best story in the series, and Monster Hunter World, which had a great attempt at a story but didn't quite land as well. Monster Hunter Rise has added NPC player names, player voices, and NPC party members, which all seem like something that can be easily taken into future games. I believe Wilds has insane potential to take all of these and create something truly incredible for this game's story. Along with all the new monsters shown, something I really want to see is more returning monsters from Monster Hunter Frontier after the Espinas cherry has been popped. Alongside the game's 3 exclusive weapons, the Magnet Spike, the Tonfas, and the Switch Axe F, Monster Hunter Frontier is a massive untapped well for the main series that can provide plenty of content for the next few games going forward. The last thing I'd like to talk about for this segment is the Chocobo and the Chocobo Saddle Pack. Now, the Chocobo isn't the official name, but instead the name of the bird from the Final Fantasy series, but until we get the official name for this creature, I'm going to continue calling it the Chocobo. In one of these saddle packs, you see a bowgun, and the other likely holds limited items. Ever since Monster Hunter World first added infinite item resupply, it's been a major issue on Quest, trivializing a lot of content and being extremely exploitable. It looks like the saddle pack might be similar to Monster Hunter Generation Ultimate's resupply, with limited space to once again make players choose carefully what they bring on a hunt. As you can tell from that, I am extremely pumped for this game. There's a lot to be excited for in this trailer, but sadly though, I feel almost as much worry for Monster Hunter Wilds, and I'll start explaining why. I'm going to start here really negative and say I don't like most of what was shown. It looked so messy on the screen between the 30 plus small monsters and the 7 large, with the hunter zipping between everything. A lot of people, myself included, saw this as a really epic set piece, and it is, but the more I started to think about it, I realized just how messy this could actually be during hunting. Let's say the brown bears are in fact large monsters, most likely early game, that's still 7 to challenge at a single time. If you've played enough of the series, you will know how frustrating fighting 2 at once ganging up on you can be, and how potentially having 5 extra to deal with, setting aside the small monsters that might try to interfere. With a situation like this, I worry the combat might take Sunbreak a step further from DMC and more into a Muso/Warriors-esque combat. If you're unfamiliar with what Muso is, the short is, it's a series of games made by Koei Tecmo where you play as one character fighting hundreds of enemies at a time, with large sweeping AoE attacks and dodges with very large IV frames. I certainly hope I'm just over-speculating on this and it's not actually the case. I love Rise and Sunbreak, but something I've said plenty of time is that I don't want to continue this style for the next installment. I want to return to the slower combat of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate and Monster Hunter World's base game. Taking a step back, maybe the Palamute herding I theorized earlier could be used to split up or isolate a monster for a normal hunting experience similar to what we're used to. And speaking of things we're used to, let's move on to my next point. I've seen people point out that the hunter in this trailer looks like he's carrying a scoutfly cage and a slinger on his equipment. People who know me know that I don't really like Monster Hunter World. I have a lot of issues with that game's direction, and I could make a separate video on it if I wanted to. Back to the scoutflies and the slingers, it's not really the scoutfly I have the issue with, it's the slinger, and I'll explain. In Monster Hunter World, I really hated how throwable items were relegated to slinger ammo. It's annoying to swap loading flash bombs onto the slinger when you want to flash a monster, then having to manually remove the flash bombs from your inventory to load a stone so you could fire it at another monster. In the next installment, Monster Hunter Rise, the game returned to classic throwable items out of your inventory with the added aim down sight the slinger had. Rise also got Throwing Kunai, an infinite use throwing tool similar to firing slinger stones and red pit. The reason I bring this up is I think this series has moved past having the slinger as a gameplay mechanic, at least in the aspect I just mentioned. I see little reason aside from using it as a means to traverse via grappling hooks as to why Capcom needed to bring this back. I think nothing needs to be said on the topic of Clutch Claw, best to leave it to rot in Iceborne. That said, I could picture the scenario where the slinger follows Rise's example by using an infinite supply of stones we can assume the hunter collects on the go. Throwable items remaining separate is a must. The term World 2 gets used a lot when talking about Monster Hunter 6. If Wild's game design takes more from World than only the scoutflies and slinger, Monster Hunter Wilds likely isn't going to be a game that I enjoy. I'm going to pivot now and start talking about things that were not shown in the trailer. When I look at the Chocobo, I imagine the many ways Capcom are going to try monetizing its appearance through paid DLC similar to what they've done in the past 2 games. Capcom tried this already with the inclusion of the Hoodle in Monster Hunter Rise. This was largely unsuccessful, so they stopped making skins for them in Sunbreak and moved on to other DLC options. I don't think the Chocobo will be any different, in fact I think it's the opposite. Unlike the Hoodle in Rise, which was often obscured from sight, the Chocobo looks to be essential to Wild's hunts, likely making a lot more players tempted to pay real money to have it look even better. Ever since Monster Hunter World's inclusion of paid DLC, we've reached a point now with Sunbreak the game's DLC is starting to affect what we used to earn in the games. I'm talking weapon designs and armor designs. All of these were things we used to get by playing new event quests, but now they are listed on a separate tab on the shop and being asked to pay several dollars per piece. Monster Hunter Rise even advertises the paid DLC in the title update trailers as a major feature coming to the game for every player to be excited about. In the past, Monster Hunter games had free DLC for anyone to download and use. These were often tied to difficult or unique quests that made the rewards even better to earn. I doubt we'll ever go back to that. It seems once Monster Hunter came to big modern platforms, the series picked up the modern monetization model. If the evolution of paid DLC in the Monster Hunter's 5th generation is anything to go by, Monster Hunter Wilds will try pushing the monetization even further than it's currently at. I don't think Capcom will ever go into a paid loot boxes or pay for power. However, a cash shop of optional items far better than anything available in-game isn't off the tables in my opinion. Only time will tell how Monster Hunter Wilds does its DLC. I can only hope the series doesn't go any further than it's currently reached with Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. The last major point I had written down, it went off on a tangent completely unrelated to anything in the trailer, but I feel it's still worth mentioning, so I'll leave it here. I and everyone else would agree it's about time that Capcom adds crossplay and cross-save to the Monster Hunter series. There is a couple games in the hunting genre that have already added crossplay and cross-save. These games I'm talking about here are the Koei Tecmo's Wild Hearts and Epic Games' Dauntless. The former this genre's newest attempt at failing to take Monster Hunter's crown, but regardless in my opinion is the best hunting game that hasn't got Monster Hunter in the title. The latter mentioned Dauntless, from the creators of Fortnite, the famous battle royale that took the gaming industry by storm after copying PUBG's formula. Neither of these two games have outdone Monster Hunter yet, but it's only a matter of time until somebody tries again, and GOG only knows if they'll succeed. I bring this up just to drive the point home that Monster Hunter Wilds needs crossplay and cross-save. Ignoring the fact that nearly every other online multiplayer game uses crossplay and cross-save already, Monster Hunter Wilds needs this to stay on top of its competition currently and in the future. Monster Hunter is a series that needed crossplay a long time ago. After building up a large fanbase on Nintendo consoles for many years, it split that in favor of Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. In the next installment, went back to Nintendo, leaving the player base split across 4 different devices. Many of these concerns I have could have been avoided by simply showing more gameplay. The past Monster Hunter game reveal trailers have followed a similar style, showing off the environment and monsters before finishing on real hunt footage. I very fondly remember the hype behind Monster Hunter Cross's Japanese reveal, also known as Monster Hunter Generations in the West, with the final minute displaying the craziness of hunter arts and hunter styles in the hunts. It is a shame Wilds didn't follow this trend, but it's likely because Capcom didn't want to reveal too much with the game still being a year away, or much of this is still in early development and not ready to be shown to the public. All of this being said does not mean I think the game is going to suck. I may dislike many of Monster Hunter World's features, yet I still believe World is an amazing game, it's just not made for everyone. People who know me know I really love Monster Hunter Rise. This was a game that through all of its reveals I was worried I wouldn't like, and that Monster Hunter is a series not for me anymore. Thankfully when I got to play Rise's demo I had a complete change of heart and fell in love with the game. Monster Hunter Wilds will likely be the same. There's still a year of information yet to come. Even if Wilds does end up as a Monster Hunter World 2, there will still be many parts I'm able to enjoy playing. Now, it's the end of the video. I'd like to give a huge thanks if you've made it to this point. I know it wasn't an easy watch. This will have been my first proper YouTube video, so the quality is poor and unfortunately I can't get it any better. I'm not going to ask for any likes or subscriptions either because I'm unsure if I'll make any more videos like this. If you'd like to discuss what I've talked about, or leave feedback for the video, I'll try to reply to everyone who comments so below. And another reminder to please check out Valky_Uniguri on Twitter/X for their amazing artwork. Goodbye.